Tata Motors presents Trucking into the Future in partnership with News 18 Network.
Mr. Kaul, Mr. Mehta has put out a wish list over there. I think some part of the wish list, I could see you nodding. I think you've already taken care of some part of that. But since we're on the topic, what would you like to say?
In Tata Motors, we clearly understand what is the major pain point for the customer. Logistics, which is cost, which is being spoken at the moment. But given the framework we are working in, so you see, we have to manage, Mehtaji, in the framework we are working in. Government of India has now, post increase in axle load, given us an option to maximize the load up to 55 ton legally. And I must say, in post-pandemic also, I must speak on some numbers. What has happened is, first coming to Pradeep ji, when he was saying, so model in Northeast states, high input cost, they are trying another model, which I'll tell you, owning their own trucks. They have now almost 400 vehicles in their fleet. They bought 200 vehicles some time back, despite being an OEM, because that is another way of looking at it. Let me also, experience what are my ton per kilometer expenses, how I reduce the expenses or how I optimize the overall costs begins with me first. Now, on his point, see, in BS6, what has happened is, Aniruddha a little while back spoke about that this is just not an opportunity to meet an regulations. This is also, as Tata Motors, what more value-added features, what more add-ons can be provided. I just want to state a few things. A big migration is happening. Because of this, cost optimization, or because of this reduction in overall expenses of transportation, we are seeing migration towards higher tonnage vehicles. We had a big chunk of vehicles, like he said, 40 ton, 35 ton, 31 ton, or 37 ton, and a big chunk of migration is happening in rigid trucks, like, for example, Andhra, Telangana. Largely cement producing state. You will see 48 and 42 ton dominating. Rajasthan, beloved in cements, moving to 55 ton. So the shift towards higher tonnage has already happened. Because companies like, Tata Motors were focused on designing vehicles, the entire drive lines, to ensure that we achieve overall reduction in total cost of ownership. Therefore, we work on parameters like fuel efficiency. So how do you work? So here my engineering team supports us with multimodal fuel switch. They provide fuel theft alerts. They provide, fleet optimization through digital, driver habits monitoring. Then we work on lower total cost, which is, routine costs. For example, no grease truck hub units, or there is, this overall upliftment of this whole package, including technology-led interventions, and there is then oil drain interval increase, or if we look at, overall, what I would say, how our reach is also, therefore, helps us in overall productivity of the trucks, which is Sampurna Seva. We have wider service networks, our customized annual maintenance contracts and fleet management solutions. So these are some of the areas which I would suggest. These are all veterans in cement companies. You look at your business, let us maintain the vehicles, let us maintain your fleets, let us work around all the inputs which come from, now fleet edge telematics. This all would lead to overall lesser expenses and better optimization of the costs. This will help, sir.
Okay, all right. Doctor, I want to come across to this side again. India will invest close to 11% of GDP over the next 30 years to attain the zero status. And also industries, including cement, they will play a role, right, in this ambitious target. How is the cement industry on the whole addressing this particular issue?
So cement is doing a lot. Honestly speaking, cement is seen as a culprit because it contributes almost 8% to the overall global CO2 pool. But cement has a unique problem. While cement has emissions from the fossil fuel, cement also has emissions from the processes. And that process-related emission is almost 60%. And when I say process-related emissions, is the inorganic part. When we convert the calcium carbonate to calcium oxide, the CO2 emission happens. That's the process-related emission, which is 60%. But in spite of that, cement industry has done a lot. My own company, honestly speaking, I'll tell you, in 2018, Dalmia Cement committed for a carbon neutral, carbon negative, in fact, not even neutral, in 2018. And since 2018 to 2021, in 3 years of time, we reduced our CO2 footprint by almost 10%. Cement industry, almost every cement company has made a commitment that by 2050, they will be carbon neutral. The amount of work on sustainability and ESG which cement industry has done, I have seen that. Whether it is on the reduction of fossil fuel, whether it is on the reduction of the coal require or reduction of the process-related emissions, cement industry has done enormous work.
Mr. Pradeep, let's come across to you. Let's talk about the human aspect. In the previous discussion also, we discussed the focus on drivers, educating them. Their well-being as well is important because ultimately we need that human touch as well. How have you all taken measures, at your company or as an industry, the Northeast industry, particularly since logistics is so important out there?
These are the people who are the real drivers of the nation, and they really drive things for us. And the problem is that being a driver is not a very respectable profession out here in this country. He or the helping hand to him is being considered a very, very petty person or a driver other than the organized fleet owners, which is less than 15% of the total fleet owning business. The rest of the 85% fleet owners are less than 20 truck fleet owners, and the drivers are being treated at every stakeholder level or every touch point level and in a very bad manner. The other point with drivers or the driving profession in this country is that most of these drivers which come and drive asset worth 50 lakh rupees are actually not professionally trained, not trained in a professional manner. They have been driving and thus they learned driving and they bought a driving license and now they are a driver and they get an asset worth 50 lakh rupees on their hands and they're driving it. They're not worried about the asset utilizations and the efficiency level, then we can certainly look at. So that is one place where if we are talking of future of trucking, we need to really change the way we'll have our driving profession working in this country. The driving profession need to come up, the level of comfort for the driver, the level of respect for a driver. More people who wishes to join this profession should be, the profession should be made in such a manner that more people try to come to this profession and take up this profession as any other profession. And for that, we really need to make changes. As far as the training process is concerned, more number of training institutes needs to come up. And not only to train new drivers, but to upskill the available driving people that we are having. So right. Upskilling is required and the life skilling is required. Like they must start feeling that they are important and the motivation in them is required so that they start understanding the importance of their driving skills and they go up, they go and upskill themselves sure. to take best use of the technological changes that have taken place in the recent past.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining in. Thanks to all our panelists as well for joining into this discussion. It was a healthy discussion on the cement industry, brought to you by Tata Motors, trucking into the future. Thanks so much for listening in.
Tata Motors presents Trucking into the Future in partnership with News 18 Network. Focus. Ideate. Innovate.